Hey, the meeting's in here.
Don't pay attention to these people. Keep going.
All right. So we were just looking at my invisible 80-meter foursquare, which you could see really well if you were actually there. Anyway, I'm going to continue going ahead here with the pictures. You can see it a little better, and you can see one of the coaxes hanging down. Basically, this is...
Turn the lights off.
Oh, good idea.
Turn the lights off, now you're for a call.
Yeah.
Now watch out you don't trip over stuff now.
There you go.
Okay. Ah, look at that. You can see the foursquare. What you're actually seeing is twine, number 36 twine. Now, one of the important things about a foursquare, or really any wire antennas, is you want to have the separation held in place. Well, that's a problem when you have elements that are hanging off the trees. How do you hold these things in place? So there are no towers here. Everything is tree-mounted. I've become exceptionally good with a slingshot, but you're dealing with trees. They rip the hell out of antennas, especially in the winds that I have. So one of the problems is how do you maintain the integrity between the antenna itself as a whole, and how do you keep the differences, you know, the different lengths between the antennas vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. And the only way I figured out how to do that is with twine. I used to use rope, but that put far too much weight and drag on the antennas. So I went with twine. I found number 36 to be just strong enough to pretty much hold its integrity even in ice, although it sags badly. So, and I had everything both in the shape of a box. So each element itself has a twine going to 3 other elements, holding it in place. So, and then on the outside of the box, I have separate twine pulling the elements in opposite directions into the trees, holding the radials above ground.
No, he's...
Oh, well, how about here? I could stand over here.
Okay,
Yeah.
because there's so much background noise.
Yeah, we'll also maybe close the door. That'll help too, reduce the background noise. All right. So the idea being, you need to have tension in the different directions to hold the elements in place. And it does matter because even if an element gets too close into another element.
Is this a loop or four?
These are four
verticals.
These are 4 quarter wave wire verticals, if you will.
4 quarter wave wire verticals.
With elevated radials. And the reason that they're elevated is because I'm able to keep most of the radiation efficiency very high, as opposed to if we're on the ground, where you'd have to put down about a minimum of 30 radials per element. Plus, also by having the radials elevated, the elevated radials are just about or at or near the top of the ledge on the side here. So that, as opposed to if we were in the ground, where I'd be losing 15 or 20 degrees of potential signal. So in other words, northeastern element here with radials down here and the feed point down here, I would be, the minimum wave angle coming in would be 15 degrees, give or take. With the elevated radials and the feed points here, there's virtually no difference with the effects from the hill. Now, of course, I use 4 elevated radials per element. Generally speaking, it's often down to 3, and in the winter after an ice storm, it's usually down to 2. In theory, you only need 1, but realistically speaking, you want to have more than that. But it is a headache.
This is the bottom of the vertical?
Yeah. Each of the elements goes up a quarter wavelength, and unfortunately, I am not able to get pictures to show you of what it looks like. On 80 meters, this would ordinarily be about 64 feet high, plus off the ground. Well, I can't do that with trees. So what I had to do is I had to put in rope guys and have the ropes go into the tree and ropes going across, and then physically I had to, through a lot of trial and error, actually figure out the right distance and the amount that the element could go vertically, and then actually have it attached to the ropes to go horizontally. So I don't have straight vertical polarization on any of these elements. It's a combination of vertical and horizontal. And there are times when actually that's helpful, and there are times when it's not. But again, you got to do what you got to do. The alternative to this would be an inverted V, which wouldn't function nearly as well.
Since it's a four square, your inverted Ls go out away from the box, point outwards.
Well, the radials do. The radials are, you'll get to see.
But the bent element on the top.
Yeah.
You're bending away from the box or into the box?
I like to bend towards where I want the RF energy to go, which is to Europe. So I have them go in the direction as close to Europe as possible, because I want that polarization to go that way.
Do you use them on the receive also? Or
Oh, absolutely. It's both receive and transmit, no question about it. One of the things that's nice about four squares is that they're also fairly quiet compared to other antennas. So my four square is often as quiet as a beverage. Not always, but a lot of the time. So by putting up a four square, you get a twofer really. Not only do you get gain on receive and transmit, but you also get a directional low noise antenna as well, which is very nice to have. It's another shot, you really can't see it unfortunately. There's a reason, oh, I know why I'm showing you this. You can't see my 40 meter four square. You can see a little bit of the twine. But what you can see is this is the top of the hill. This is the ledge, and then it drops down about 15 feet. And these are the guys from the 10 and 1500 foot tower. They come very close to the four square. I used to have the 80 meter four square on the similar slant, and it really did make a difference. You know, having this slope over here definitely helped to the west. To the northwest is another hill, which is a tiny bit higher, but really isn't significant. And the northeast is kind of flat. But the nice thing about the 40 meter four square is the trees don't have to be as tall. Because here you're dealing with 33-foot elements. And it's a very, very forgiving antenna as long as you get the radials up about 0.05 wavelengths. So for a couple $100, you can have really a pretty good antenna with immediate directional switching. Again, on 40 meters, 2-element rotatable Yagi at 60, 70 feet, absolutely superior. On 80 meters, good luck. That's why I use a four square.
What kind of switching, who do you?
It was Comtech. That was the
Comtech,
box
okay.
I showed earlier. This is another shot of the 40 meter wire beam. Again, it looks more impressive. These are the guy wires from the 10 and 15 meter tower. This is looking down the hill at my cars and the house over here. This is the ledge on the other side. So there's ledge right here, about 15 feet high. It drops down like into a little mini valley. Well, okay. I wanted to stand here so I could talk. Way back this way. And then there's ledge on the other side, about 15 feet high. Now what you can't see here is there's an enormous drop-off starting right there at the top of the ledge. This drops about 40 feet in the next 100 feet or so, and then it drops about 500 or 600 feet into the valley over the next couple of miles.
What's your height?
My height here above sea level is 800 feet. This ledge here is about 815. At the bottom of my road is about 300, and down in the valley towards Danbury is about 250.
Wow.
So it's wonderful to the west. I am very loud to the west. It's a great shot. It's a lot of fun. There's not much volume there. It's decent to Japan. It depends. If the JA signals are coming in closer to north, it's not very good. If the JA signals are coming in more towards the west, I do incredibly well, especially on 10 meters. There are times on 10 meters late in the opening where the wave angle is just right and the JAs are coming in just south enough that I'm almost as loud as the sixes for several hours. It's very magical. It's only at the top of the cycle. It's only happened 3 times. But when it did, it was absolutely memorable. And you get a nice view. The irony is, I'm on this amazing hill, which is like flat on top for an extended distance, and you get almost no view unless you stand right over here and look down as you stand on top of my second-story roof. Or better still, you're up in the tower.
How close is your nearest neighbor?
Nearest neighbor, this one here is about 300 feet, this one here is about 300 feet. And, but it's through the woods. Nice. And then there's some 500,000 feet away down here. You can see my towers, but only if you're looking for them. And that's one of the reasons I deliberately chose the back lot. You know, there were nicer houses and there were nicer locations, but I wanted to be basically invisible, which is one of the reasons that I had 2 towers.
And on top of the hill.
And on top of the hill, and I didn't blast for guy wires. I didn't want to attract attention.
Was this a new forest as it is
No, actually, a very interesting
Rather
story.
interesting how straight the barks are.
Yeah, this is yes and no to the New Forest. This is New Forest in the sense that there is no tree more than 100 years old or 90 years old. I know that because some of the trees that came down in the hurricane, and I had to chainsaw them, and I could count the rings. So some of these went back to, I would say, right around the end of World War I, which is probably not a coincidence, because as people were coming back from the war, farming was big in New England. Although everybody were called rock farmers because, you know, that's basically what you were farming. This vegetable garden I have over here is 28 by 14. This was put here because this was the only spot on the property not covered by ledge or the septic field, because we use well water. And so when I was attempting to plant a garden, for years I was digging out boulders, steel cable, glass, wood, stumps, and everything else, because the SOBs that built this house, this is where they buried it all, right over here. And I can tell you that I hauled out by myself many rocks that weighed several hundred pounds, with literally a come-along tool or, you know, special attachments to my back, making like you know, a pull horse or a cart horse. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. The other hill, which is up a little higher than me, from the top of the hill, which is just about this elevation here, I'm 22 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, okay, looking south down into Long Island. You could stand on the hill a half a mile from me around the turn of the century or around the end of World War I, and you could actually see the ocean. Now you can't anymore. In fact, you can't see it from my towers until you get up to 100 feet high. And that's because of all the tree growth and everything else. But occasionally when the big coastal storms come in and the wind comes in just right, you can actually smell the salt air. So we actually do get corrosion, and unfortunately this is one of the reasons we get such violent winds and violent storms. We're at the nexus of the cold air coming down the Adirondacks, plus the storms coming in off the coast, and they're literally mixing right in my area. It's a very bad place to be, but it's very pretty. Here's a view of one of the elements of the 80-meter foursquare. So I have the vertical element coming down out of the tree and out of the rope, and then this is the quarter wave phasing line. And for my ballad, so I can reduce the currents that come off, I actually have a series of ferrite beads chosen for specifically the best impedance for that band. Best permeability, and then the impedance as well.
31?
Yeah, actually it is. Originally I used to use 43, and then I tried a few others, and I settled on 31 that tended to work best. So I use 31 for 11680, and I use some 43s for 40. And again, that seems to work best. I want to use the fewest number of beads possible, which cuts down the weight as well as the cost. But I go with anywhere between 7 and 9 beads. And I actually created a spreadsheet to multiply the impedance and ohms times the permeability and another thing so I can figure out the best combination. There's a lot of work involved in
Does
this.
your vertical radiator go straight up or
Yes,
down?
no, it goes straight up.
So it has to go up 65 feet.
Well, it would if I had a tree that tall, but I don't. So I have a rope that goes across, and I have it go as vertical as far as it can, and then I have it attached to the rope.
It's an L.
How high is the vertical column?
Yeah, well, it depends on the elements, so, I mean.
Well, how tall is that at point?
Right here, I have this at about, I'd say, 10, 12 feet. It should be higher, but what I found through a lot of painful trial and error is if I have this about 10 and 12 feet, the tension required to hold it up will cause the elements not to break in anything other than a violent windstorm. If I go to 12 to 15 feet, the tension is so strong that even in mild winds, the elements will break.
And then it goes horizontal?
It goes down to the ground.
And then it goes down and it becomes detached, and I can't use it. And there's a lot of other things that go into play. I have a real love-hate relationship with trees, as I have through my entire life. I couldn't have my antennas without them, but they cause such nightmarish problems on such an ongoing basis. Very, very high maintenance. Anyway, so the way I have this attached is kind of cheap and dirty, but it works. I literally take the end of the element and I solder it into the end of an SO239. And on the other end of the SO239, I attach the coax to. And then on the little holes on each side, which I drilled to be a little wider so they fit the right combination of plugs, I attach each of the quarter wavelength radials. It works. The problem is it doesn't do well if there's any tension and stress. And I've been trying to figure out a better method of doing it. I haven't come up with one yet. However, what I have learned is, given how frequently these elements detach because of the mechanical stresses on it, what I do is, if you see this little kind of knob sticking out here, that's a split bolt connector. And what I do is I have a little piece of twine connected to the split bolt connector, tightened to the element as much as I can, about 3 inches above the connection point, and then I have it taped around the ferrites down here in several places with electrical tape. The idea being that if the element breaks, which they frequently do, this split bolt connector and rope will hold the broken end in place so I can recapture it without having to take the tree down to recapture it. And I've had many problems where they've been dangling around, swinging 5 feet out of reach, forever, which is another reason why I have pull ropes connected to the other ropes so that the element gets detached and I can't catch it. Fine. I pull on the pull rope, that takes the overhead ropes down, and I can catch it again. You learn all these things after painful trial and error for years. Foursquares work amazingly well if you get the spacing right. Here we go. Here's a nice close-up. So here's the SO239, and you see where it's just soldered right in there, very nicely. And then you have the coax attached here. And then I drill out the holes, and I use brass fittings because they don't rust. Stainless does corrode, rust.
Yes, it
galls,
does.
Anybody who's used stainless knows.
So what are you using?
Brass fittings.
Brass?
Yep. So here's brass. They're a little more expensive.
Pardon me, but brass will conduct? No.
Oh yeah, it conducts well enough.
Brass will conduct.
Yeah, well enough, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And because it doesn't have a problem with oxidation, it's actually better.
I got a problem.
But you could solder them to the brass.
You could, but I like something where I can detach or whatever. Now, all of this is out in the woods. This is about 250 feet from my house. The 160 was out several hundred more feet from my house. It's bad enough when you have to solder something and you have to bring out hundreds of feet of electric, the cables each time, or in the snow and through the sticker bushes, and it's a nightmare. So one of the innovations I made is, rather than solder it to this, I would simply have something that I could walk out into the woods with me and just connect with a bolt, a nut and a bolt and a washer, and then I'm done. And really, it's designed to be as maintenance easy as possible. Again, all things you learn through the years. And whatever you don't learn right the first time, you will curse yourself for the next time until you finally arrive at the conclusion, okay, I get it. I'm going to do it that way from now on.
One step at a time.
And here again is the twine, the heavier duty twine connected to the split bolt connector, taking some of the tension off this connection when it's flexing in the wind, either this way or this way, or this way, or even this way with the weight of the ice. And I've changed how I do it. I used to have it looser, and that just gave it more room to flex, which I didn't understand for a while. So now I have it really, really, really tight, so that it takes off a lot of strain. And on the 160, where it goes to a certain and I can't access it, what I've done is, this is actually very, very, very loose. There's no tension on it, and I have, instead of twine, I actually have rope going through one end of this, connecting to a tree, almost in line with the path of the element, so that the element itself has practically zero stress on it with those violent storms, and it's being supported basically by the rope. That's worked well most of the time, but Mother Nature still finds a way to break it off.
What kind of wire are you using there?
This is all 14 solid copper weld. It does stretch, and what I did was, I used to use 13 poly from the wireman years ago, which used to like to sell at 15 cents a foot. It gets pretty expensive. I waited for copper to bottom out after the last market crash in 2008. Right? It went from
commodity market.
it went from $4.25 a pound down to about $1.10 a pound. And then with
By the
all-
way, coffee's back on again. Anybody wants coffee?
with all the copper sitting in Home Depot and Lowe's that they weren't selling because nobody wanted to pay their bull market prices, and I had learned from the years that Home Depot won't negotiate anything. Lowe's, on the other hand, yeah, if you find the right person to negotiate. So I said, you know, I see you only have 500 feet of this number 12 sitting on your shelf there, and it's the same price that it was when copper cost twice as much. I said, but you're not selling it. The reason you're not selling it is because it's ridiculously overpriced. So I said, I'll tell you what, you sell how much of the stuff regularly? And of course, he had no idea. I said, check your computer. So he says, well, we sell a 500-foot roll every few months. I said, okay. I said, so how about somebody walks in and is willing to buy 6,000 feet? So that's 12 of those rolls, and I'll pay cash for them. I said, what kind of price can you give me? He said, well, I'll have to go check with my manager and my supplier. I said, hey, that's fine. I'll give you my phone number and go do that. So I didn't hear from him. So 2 weeks later, I follow up, and anyway, I contacted the store manager, and I explained what I wanted to do, and I went through the whole story all again. He said, yeah, we're having problems with that guy. He said, I'll get back to you with the price. I'll contact my suppliers. So at that time, they were selling it for approximately $55 or for a 500-foot roll. So say about 11 cents a foot. So he came back to me and he said, I'll tell you what, we'll sell it for $15 a spool. I said, oh, $15. I said, great. When can you have it? So I came in and I effectively bought 12 spools, 500-foot spools, 12